Hello, everyone. This is Cosmin, and today we'll do a short live. This is the first live I've ever made on my channel, and I will tell you briefly a story about persistence and what's the advantage and disadvantage of being persistent and doing focused work, doing working on a project for a long enough time span. In my case, this is the only project I worked on for around 10 years now. Started in around in August 2020, 2012. Now we're in April 2022. So in August we'll have around 10 years of activity. So the project it's We Discovered. That's the current name, and this is the name that I chose around 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Before it was called Youth Events in Paris. It's around travel. This is a project where we basically uh, facilitate travel for groups at low cost prices, ensuring a good enough comfort. To give you an idea, most hotels are they're around 2 stars, um, European standard, but sometimes they can go up to 4 stars, even though they are European standard, even though they are low cost trips and that ensure that people who have low revenues can still travel on a regular basis. So that's the concept, and that's the project I will tell you about. So I used to be someone who is quite dispersed, and I used to uh, start a project and without finishing it, start a new one. That's um, that's also the case for books. I would start a book, I would read part of it, and then I would lose interest, have the main idea of the book, and then we'd start read a book, or same with a long video on YouTube or educational video or different type. Uh, and what I discovered is that if you do the effort of doing something for a long enough time, the compound effect of the long term growth can yield much more results than if you would do focused work for a very short time, like few months, for example, on various projects. So even though I have let's say the natural habit of starting one thing and after losing interest to go to another one, I did my best, and I actually sacrificed a little bit the factor of variety, just in order to ensure stability, to ensure a minimum level of constance in the um, in the organization of these trips and of these events that are basically what We Discover does. Okay, so there were moments where I wanted some new activities in my life, so I decided that the best thing I could satisfy my need for novelty and um, the need also for continuing this project for a long duration was to allow myself around 20 to 30% of my time of various activities that have lower value uh, overall, for let's call it the most serious part, the so-called business part, which needs to ensure that you have a regular stream of revenue to pay employees or partners and so on for their regular work. Basically, I give myself 20 to 30% of the time for new projects that usually did not lead to much, but they're very fun and that are very educational. Obviously, some of them had some reasonable amount of success, but but maybe none at the level that the main project had, which ensured a reasonable amount of success uh, every year. Um, Obviously, this video is not prepared, so it's not very focused. I don't usually talk in English. I usually talk in French or Spanish or Romanian, one of the six languages that I actually speak. So, as it's not prepared, it might not be that structured and not that clear. I will probably do a video which is more in depth around this subject. So I'm going to just focus on the main ideas of this topic. So the main ideas are the advantages. So keeping your energy and um, and asking the help of other people uh, to give most of their energy on one project ensures that this project gets to a certain critical mass, and once you get the critical mass, it's much easier to to negotiate to ensure a certain level of quality, even at a low price. It ensures that most people rely on you and get to have the habit of traveling or going out on a regular basis with you. There's even people that I saw this week that I haven't seen for more than 10 years now. And they told me that they're impressed about the growth of Discover and maybe even my personal growth as well. To give you an idea, we would have maybe like few tens of participants per week between events and uh, and travels, mostly events, which is not that big of a deal because it's much easier to um, to connect people during a free event. And now we have maybe an average of a few hundred people between events and trips. Most of them coming to trips, are um, which are basically they require an investment of time, of money, much more important than for an event. So basically, there's like a reasonable growth, not as big as it could have been, but it's still of a factor of 10. So growth of 10. Um, and basically, how so this was possible by being focused, creating the systems and the structures. There's like a bunch of people who contributed to this project. Obviously, I was not alone. There's like several people who contributed a lot, and then there's like many people who contributed just a little bit, and maybe hundreds who contributed slightly. Um, People who recommended we discover to their friends, to their family, to the community where they lived. There's people convinced tens of people to come to our trips and events, uh, different group leaders and so on, some even hundreds of people. So in numbers, we discover is now um, like during the past 10 years, they've been around, I guess, about 50,000 tickets in maybe around 20 to 30,000 different people who traveled with We Discover, and maybe more that participated at events. So it has a reasonable amount of success compared to most of the projects that they started so far. Obviously, it's not at a big success at national scale or regional scale. It's just at the level of one city. We did some trips and events that uh, f- events and trips for communities of other cities like Bucharest, like Manila, like Medellin in Colombia, um, but not on a regular basis and with much less people than in Paris, where is the main community of We Discover. Obviously, We Discover has the potential of growing 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times. If this project would be implemented smartly in most big cities in the world. Obviously, that would take time. It would take funding and a lot of like funds, like investments, and a lot of energy. I'm not sure that um, I'm willing to to develop this project to that big of a scale, but probably I would like to develop it to a larger scale, maybe two, three, four, five, 10 times more than it is now in the next 2 to 10 years. The project has a lot of uh, positive has a positive impact on the society where it it so the We Discover community has a positive impact. Why? One, the carbon footprint of traveling in groups, it's much lower than traveling alone, renting a car or taking your own car and doing a tour of in France or the close countries. Secondly, the price, it's lower when you have like a bigger group. Thirdly, there is the factor of multiculturality. You get to meet people in these trips that are coming from all over the world. Fourth, um, there's a lot of work required in order to identify what's the best places to travel in a short duration. So that also adds up. And then there's the language part. There's English speakers, French speakers, Spanish speakers. Some of them just speak one language. Some of them Portuguese speakers. And basically, you can improve, practice your language skills uh, if if you wish so. If you want to interact with the participants of different nationalities that are traveling with We Discover. I actually once counted, the last time I counted the number of nationalities in a bus, I got to 21 nationalities out of 50 participants, which is a lot. Almost one nationality for every two participants. That's huge. So that's like a big melting pot. It allows you to, if you wish so, to interact with people that come from all over the world. And so that's kind of the good parts. The not so good parts are you need to sacrifice. Sometimes you cannot travel uh, at at your leisure. Sometimes because you need to manage groups, manage tour leaders that go with some groups, so on and so forth. Obviously, admin work and so on, unpredicted situations. So it has meant a big sacrifice on my side. Uh, I've never invested a fraction of how much time I invested, discovering anything else. So it produced a lot of results, but it also meant hundreds and thousands, and probably tens of thousands of hours, actually several tens of thousands of hours in the past 10 years. Um, so obviously and then obviously there's like an other positive parts. Um, I've learned a lot uh, regarding sales negotiation, how to organize trips, how to manage people, how to teach in a more effective way, so on and so forth. Obviously, I still am improving in most of these skills, but I've reached a much better level than I used to be in the past. So that's kind of like another advantage. So um, Also another advantage is when you get to help a lot of people. Um, there's even people who met their wife, their husband, their best friend. Uh, some they've met their travel friends. Some of them went from depression to happiness, to a fulfilled life. So making so many happy people also generates a certain level of fulfillment uh, when you help out, when you organize these events, these trips, and so on and so forth. Mm, so that's another advantage. Obviously, there's another disadvantage. There's like people who, when there's like a unpredicted situation, they do not handle their emotions. They're not very positive people. They're not very nice people, and basically they transmit all of their bad energies to you. They complain, they insult you sometimes at moments. So obviously that's also a bad part. They when you basically need to interact with many angry people, that because the let's say the bus broke, and then they stayed in a city for 1 hour or 2 hours longer than they should have, then they will complain, and they will ask for sometimes more than they would deserve. They could ask for a partial refund, but usually most people that see most people in France, that they actually encounter a difficulty in a trip, uh, some unpredicted situation, they usually make unreasonable unreasonable demands. Um, and Obviously, so that's not that pleasant. But if you get used to it, um, then it's not such a big deal in the long term. Also known that these kind of situation happens once every maybe 100 trips, like unforeseeable situations. And also, even that has a positive part because you learn how to control your emotions, how to better interact with angry people. So on an overall scale, I would say that it's much more important to keep a main project and focus on it at least 70 to 80% of your energy on it for a long time span. Basically, not abandoning it. Because once you get to a certain point, if you manage to give value to people, and you create certain structure, you're like just one step away from like a huge success. You just need to standardize the project, maybe hire some talented and faithful people to this cause and this project that you might want to to, to develop, and then you can have like a huge increase in a short time span if done correctly. If you do this, wise in a wise way. So I'm gonna try to keep this first live short. It has been now 21 minutes, so I'm gonna stop here. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Uh, and if you like the videos on this challenge, you can share them with your friends. Some of them are very short and much more impactful than this kind of long long format. Also know that I'm gonna organize a few live trainings in Paris on financial intelligence, basically how to invest, how your money, how to avoid spending money in a bad way, how to economize your time when you spend or invest money. That's also important because it's, as they say, time is money. So it's also a very important factor. And as well, I'm going to do a small training on emotional intelligence as well in the next few months. And I'll do my best to put more content online on these two subjects and on different other subjects. These two subjects, I think, they are quite important in the both. So, on the financial intelligence, uh, there's like this is such a broad topic. You can talk from anything from real estate or how to invest money in the stock exchange and different other professional projects that bring value to the society where you're living in, and then on the how to uh, to spend money in a smarter way. A smarter way means two things: economizing time and energy and money as well. And there's like tens of hundreds of tools online that help you do this if you know how to use them. And I'm gonna share some of these tools, websites, ideas, and so on, mindsets that can help you do this. I'm gonna do this online for free and in the live trainings at a very affordable price. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other subjects and topics like emotional intelligence, time and energy management, so on and so forth. So that's all for today. Thank you for your attention and see you soon. Bye.